Welcome back, everyone. All right, I am so pumped up. I am excited for this video. Um, what I am going to go over today, I think it's going to be action packed, really in the whole world of tech and customer success. There is a plethora, and I mean a plethora of information, of roles, responsibilities, title, and there's so much noise. So, what I want to try to do today is shed a little bit of light on different types of roles, responsibilities, focus points, and ways to kind of navigate your career a little bit, and really ways to sort of say, where am I? How do I maybe want to break into it? And how can I sort of level up in the things I want to focus on to grow my career? So before we do that, I just want to say thank you for showing up here. If you like this content, like, subscribe, share. I'm going to try to put these out more consistently to really level up our customer success managers, tips, my day in the life kind of journey as being a remote person who worked in hospitality and hotels. So it's really going to be my way to kind of give back. And obviously, in the world today of using AI to become more of an AI enabled CSM. All right. So I don't know if you're like me as well. Um, I did about 10, 15 years or so of hotels. And it was good. And I think from my hotel landscape and perspective, the path and trajectory for me at least was a little bit more cut and dry and straightforward. You had essentially, I chose the hotel path as opposed to maybe the food and beverage side. So you worked as the front desk associate, then you became a manager, then you became maybe a director, assistant general manager, and then general manager. And I eventually became a general manager. Yes, you had to move around hotels and everything like that, but the path was a little bit more linear. I would want to say, where you could work in a position 1 to 3 years, actively work to build yourself up and get that next landing spot on the totem pole in the career path to eventually land as the next role in your hotel journey. So I went through two layoffs, and I actually have finally pivoted over the last 4 or 5 years or so in customer success. And honestly, it's been great. I love my job. I love 9 to 5. I was working on site in person. I don't want to say 7 days a week, but just sort of around that clock, that 7 day work cycle. There wasn't necessarily that corporate 9 to 5. And then this working in tech and in customer success alongside account managers has been great. I've really had a lot of those transferable skills working with clients, contract negotiation, de-escalations, and that hospitality nature, with that now tracking customer outcomes, positive business outcomes, business goals to drive value, renewals, and expansion. Um, and I think when you first start out in customer success, some of the titles are maybe confusing. Customer success associate, customer service rep, client manager, customer success 1, 2, 3, manager of customer success. It has manager in the title, so it's a little confusing. So, what I want to go today is, at a high level, a career growth framework that I've learned and sort of developed. So if you're pivoting into customer success, this is something you can actually follow and look into. If you're starting out in customer success, you can actually follow along with this as well. Or if you're familiar with these as well, you can even say, like, does this resonate with you, and sort of maybe a similar path that you also followed. All right. So again, this is a cool framework that I actually did. Me being an AI enabled CSM, I actually did craft this using AI. So again, this is a way you don't have to just use AI in your own personal life, making recipes or vacation plans, or even strictly just in the day-to-day job. You can do it for personal development, coaching, and to level up in your career as well, which is a big component of mine as well. So I don't want to get so bogged down into like the titles when I'm going through this a little bit. So the titles are less important versus like the skills and kind of what you need to like work on. So a customer success one, for example, here is how do you get there, like, and how do you actually level up, right? So, and a lot of companies might structure this, if they are a more mature company, they might have a clear path of you are a CSM one, level two, level three, where there's a clear path of maybe different modules, different tiering of clients, different ARR structure, and they will pay more for you to level up, have a clear internal process for you to get promotions, right? So maybe you start out as a CSM level one with maybe 1 to 3 years of experience. Your ARR is 1 million. Maybe your clients are only doing one product in the talent suite that they have. So then after, they might have an internal path or career trajectory kind of thing, where after a year and a half you perform certain metrics or measurables that you're now a CSM level two, right? And so on and so forth with a pay bump. Maybe it's a 3 million ARR, for example, and more broader scope um, product features. It's also a way to keep you motivated as the CSM and give you clear rungs on the ladder to achieve as you're going forward, with clear guidelines ahead of you. And it also allows managers, team leads, and directors to ease that with clients as well. We're going to give you a CSM level three, for example. So CSM level one might be an associate, might be the first one. It's probably going to be 0 to 3, years of experience. You're going to have a lot of that client rapport. It's going to be a lot more of like that relationship building, right? So you're going to be product fluency, clean onboarding execution. Customers should never need to explain their own setup back to you, kind of thing. So it's going to be clear execution, good onboard execution, but nothing overly strategic or complex, or you're probably not like owning renewals at this point as well. So signs you're ready to move up. You handle renewals and basic escalations without needing manager of their own. And I think that's a clear thing. Is like, are you in the room for the sales process, driving revenue, pipeline, and renewals? That's probably a good sign that you're ready to level up to one of these next stages right here. Coasting trap, staying purely reactive, answering tickets well, but never proactively spotting risk. And that's going to be a big indicator for these strategic ones and these senior ones as you kind of move up. So, and again, the focus, keeping accounts healthy and learn the product cold. So that might be like a digital CS. Are they happy? Are they using it? Are they logging in? If we navigate to CSM level two, so maybe you already have that foundation. Now it's portfolio prioritization, knowing which 20% of accounts deserve 80% of your attention. So whether it's 20 accounts, 50 accounts, or 100 accounts, say you have 100, these 20 are driving 80% of your attention. So you're really going to have that prioritization. You have the foundation. You're not just keeping them healthy, you're actively spotting risk, strategy, plans, and prioritization. You're probably bringing in other team members as well to escalate risks and product needs as well. So focus on the book of business, not just a list of accounts. Signs you're ready to even move up to a senior level or a strategic. Your renewal and expansion numbers are consistently above team average, not just on target. And maybe a coasting trap to be on the lookout for. Becoming the reliable pair of hands who never says no to scope creep or ad hoc requests. I think that's a good one. Is the more enterprise, senior, strategic, the more you need to say no and value your time, value your client's time, and have more of that consultative strategic approach. If you're just the yes man or woman for everything, the clients are going to look at you like that, and the team leads on your own team are going to look at you like that. They're not going to look at you as a kind of a buzzword of this value strategic consultant in the process. So if you get to a senior CSM, the focus, owning that strategic narrative for your top accounts, not just health scores. Now, you might have health scores as a component, but what is the strategy? You're using AI to leverage them. You're having conversations, full on executive business reviews with them. You're having success plan calls. You're navigating their business outcomes, and you're tracking against those each quarterly review with them, and actually having a through line of their business objectives to eventually push them to expansion, more stickiness, and renewal, right? So executive storytelling. You're not just having your day-to-day person. Can you also present the value and narrative up, multi-thread the org? Signs you're ready to move up. Customer execs ask you by name in QBRs and escalation calls. And maybe the coasting trap, hiding inside your top accounts and letting the rest of your book run on autopilot. So then if you navigate to strategic CSM, and again, some companies won't have a strategic CSM. They might have principal CSM, which maybe, depending on it, they might have a customer success manager. Maybe they have senior, which you would get the additional title. You might get a higher ARR, maybe less accounts. You might even get a principal CSM on top of that, which is essentially like probably more of those higher valued ARR clients that the company knows you are going to add value to them, and you're going to be the kind of their principal executive, so you're probably going to have a less book. Strategic CSM is similar, but again, it's sort of in the title, but you're going to be much more commercially driven, probably much more geared towards a consultant and an account manager in the terms of the goal of you as the strategic CSM is not to just get on a call or build the relationship. Like that's almost like obvious at that point. The goal with you is to strategically forecast that account over a 1 to 3 year period. So it's probably going to be much more product usage. So whatever industry you're in, that client probably is spending a lot of money. They probably have multiple products that they've purchased with you. They're probably on a multi-year contract with you. And they probably, doesn't have to be, but they probably have some global aspect to their business, added complexity that you, as their strategic CSM, are optimizing their business goals for those global complexities and strategies. So you're having those conversations with probably 6, 7, 8, 9 people that all are different heads of different businesses, and you are navigating strategies for all of them that give them business outcomes. So commercial acumen, reading contracts, margins, expansion economics, sign you ready to move up. Sales and product both route hard problems to you before they escalate. Maybe a coasting trap, becoming a hero fixer and solving every fire yourself instead of building repeatable playbooks. And I think the playbooks is a good one for CS team lead. I like to put this one on here because like at some point, you might be capped at a company. So it might be time for you to maybe be a manager of customer success. And that would be basically like what segment tier you're in, and you're going to manage a group of customer success managers, right? Or a team lead, right? Whether you're a mid-market, enterprise, scale, digital, whatever it may be. So you're going to multiply yourself through CSMs. So you're going to create playbooks. You're going to hold one-on-ones, create strategies. You're going to probably be on the team enlisting enablement tools, gathering feedback, right? So coaching, process design. You're more designing the whole process of that flow and the workflow of the CS department. Who are you reporting to? How does it involve churn, forecasting for that year? Signs you're ready to move up. And I think this is sort of like preference at some point, whether it's like, do you want to be an IC, an individual contributor for just years, or eventually do you want to coach and design the workflows and processes and coach people? So at some point, like strategic CSM might just be your end all be all on an enterprise team, for example. If you essentially want to change your title with different compensation, you then might then explore this. So you're hitting targets. I would say the sign you're ready to move up is more like, do you want to shift that responsibility? You are ready to coach others as opposed to just being an IC in that team. So stop doing the individual contributor work yourself because it's faster than teaching it. So hopefully this sheds a little bit of light on you guys about just sort of different tierings, a framework for growth, and really these coasting traps, right? So again, if you're on the bottom rung, there's a lot of paths, a lot of money to be made out there. So keep like reading articles, reaching out to people, working on items with either a coach or anyone you have or your manager on how to progress to that next level, and really accelerate your career growth as a customer success manager.